Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, October the 17th, 2022. It is currently 11:48 a.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio, located right here in Abilene, Texas. Now, I come up with some absolutely absurd, ridiculous, and dumb ideas. I'm very aware of that, right? I've always got idea after idea after idea after idea. And typically what happens is I come up with way too many ideas. I can't keep up with all of them. I'm like, okay, let's start a new series. Let's do this series. Let's do this. Wait, let's do this. Let's do this. And it's like, how am I going to finish all of this? So this is probably another example of a really bad idea. This is probably a crazy idea, but I can't get away from it. Just the idea came to me and I keep thinking, nope, not going to do it. Oh, wait, I'm going to, no, got to. No, I'm not going to, nope, I'm going to do it. So here is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you the opportunity, the privilege, the honor to be able to help create a podcast series from the ground up, from scratch, help you build a new podcast series. I've got the idea for the podcast series, but I'm going to need you to help me put it together, all right? So here is the idea. Let me explain. I believe that we live in a day that could be, if we wanted to how could we classify today? What could be a descriptor we could give about today? Some people may want to say evil. Some people may want to say wicked. Some people may want to say ungodly. Some people may want to say divided. Some people may want to say angry. And not that any of those is not completely correct, but I believe, especially for Christians, if we were to describe the time in which we live, I would use the word distracted. I would say that Christians today are very much distracted from the things of God. And even when they are trying to focus in on the things of God, they are distracted by the things of God. I know that sounds wait, that doesn't make any sense, but it does if you'll hear me out. We have so much available to us. So first of all, we have all the things available to us in the world, right? I mean, just think of how many streaming services there are for you to watch things, TV shows and movies. There are so many. And I want to watch this. 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 Think of all the music streaming services. Think of all the audio books. Just think of all the books you can read on a Kindle. There's just so much available to you 24/7. And I constantly say there's so much available to me and that's why I never want to sleep, because I don't want to miss out on one thing. I want to do this and I want to do this. I've said it my entire life. I don't know what it is to be bored. I have never been bored. I have never experienced boredom. I don't understand people who experience boredom, because I'm always like, I like this and I like this and I'm interested in this and I want to learn about this and I want to no, I need more time. I need more time. No. Like when I get to the end of my life, I'm going to be like, no, I need another hour. I've got things I'm still trying to do. So, but guess what? All of that distracts us from actually spending time meditating on the things of God, thinking about the things of God, really allowing the things of God to become a part of us. We're running around distracted by a million things. So we have to learn to stop and focus. But wait, it gets even worse. Not only are we distracted by the things of the world, we are distracted by the things of God. I know that sounds like, wait a minute. So you're telling me the things of God actually distracts us from God? And I'm going to say yes, and please hear me out. We have so much available to us in the area of spiritual food, right? And spiritual things. You just open up the Sermons 2.0 app. I don't know exactly how many sermons are available on that app, but I think it's in the millions. It's insane how much is available to you on the Sermons 2.0 app. You can open up the sermon.net app. Again, millions of sermons available to you. And that doesn't even mention all the live broadcasting that's going on. You can open up the Edify Christian Podcast app. I think they currently advertise over 2 million Christian podcasts. So over 2 million Christian podcasts on the Edify Christian podcasting app, millions of sermons available on the sermons.net app, millions of sermons available on the Sermons 2.0 app. And that's just that. Then you can go to any podcasting app, and find thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of sermons and Christian podcasts. And then you've got Christian radio. You've got Christian books. You've got commentaries, Bible studies, small group curriculum. You've got church. There are a million things that you can listen to every day to grow spiritually. But here's what happens. Sometimes we're like, oh, I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to study this. And I'm going to study this. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. 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 And sometimes I think because we're so distracted, there's never any real depth. We can't really spend the time with something so that we can really benefit, so that we can really grow in it. So we are distracted by the things of the world, and we're distracted by the things of God. And the Christian ends up just being distracted, and I think never really can, in a sense, grow spiritually in a in-depth way. In other words, can't really plant, the roots can't go very deep into anything because we're so surface. We're just sitting on the surface, and we get tossed to and fro with everything because of our own distraction. I think this is a real problem. You may disagree, but I think it's a real problem. And I've been thinking about this problem ever since I purchased the Pursue God devotional journal, the devotional notebook, right? Now, I've talked about this before. In fact, I did a podcast episode on this subject, and I really thought I was going to get like, wow, everybody was like, oh, that's a great idea. That's an amazing idea. 99% of everyone ignored me. One listener took up the challenge, and they've been doing this every day, and they've been sending me screenshots of what they've been doing, which is what encouraged me not to give up, because I was like, well, I thought it was a great idea. Obviously, no one else thought it was a great idea, so scratch that idea. But when that one person started emailing me, I was like, whoa, okay, that's what I want to see. They get it. And I'm like, if one person gets it, there's got to be at least maybe 5 or 10 others I can convince. So let me explain what happened. I got the Pursue God devotional book, right? Or devotional notebook. It's like a journal, right? I opened it up and I'm like, okay, there's some really cool concepts here, right? There's some really cool concepts in this, right? Because each day you have to look at the passage, you come up with a passage you're going to study, you underline, write the words you underlined in your reading, response. Okay, there's some things. Now, some of the structure I criticize that I didn't like, but I always like to learn from it. But there was one thing on the second, for each day, it's like 2 pages for your journal. And they got this thing called Today's Focus. Today's Focus. Now, I don't know exactly what they designed it for, maybe not the same way I did. But as soon as I saw that, I'm like, ooh, I love this idea. So this is the way I envision it. Each day, as a believer, we need to come up with one specific focus. Oh, we may do a lot of other things, but we need to keep returning to one focus. And it can be anything. It could be, and not just like, oh, today I'm going to focus on this scripture. No, something specific about the scripture. It's got to be something specific. So I started trying with every day with this journal is try to write out a focus statement, like people say a mission statement, but a focus statement. Today, I'm going to focus on this. And make it very specific, not so vague that I'm just, my mind's floating around, but trying to focus on something specific. For example, I'll just give you some of the ones because I've been using it for my study in Amos, like to supplement my study with devotional time in Amos. All right. And I covered this in a podcast episode. But for example, one of them was transgress in my worship. Today's focus. So what does it mean to transgress in my worship? What does it mean to sin in my worship? What does that mean? So then I spent the day just thinking about it, contemplating that. Now, I'm not saying that this should turn into grab a notebook and work it out. It's more like, here's what I'm going to focus on today. Maybe I'll look up a sermon about it. Maybe I do a Bible study. Like, it may lead to further study, but it's like, I'm going to just contemplate on it today. If I can find someone to talk to, say, hey, today I'm focusing in on this. You want to focus in with me and try to come up with that focus. I'll give you another example from the notebook. Give you another example. Got to get to the right pages here. Here's another one. Yet you did not return to me. Yet you did not return to me. That phrase comes straight from Amos. Now, I wrote it out basically like this. What leads someone to return to God? In other words, and then I kind of expanded. Does external judgment, does external chastisement cause someone to return to God, or does it require an inward work of grace? I kind of expanded the question, so that's what I focused on throughout the day. So like I may get one little phrase from scripture, but then I turn it into a specific question, a specific thing to focus in on. So I may do 100 other things throughout the day, but I can keep returning to that same concept for a 24-hour period. So I really meditate on it. And by the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I think I really took that apart. I'll give you an example. I got the little like newsletter from BBN Radio. And I saw this. Being a servant is a big part of what being a follower of Jesus Christ means. That's all I read. And as soon as I read that in the newsletter, I set the newsletter aside. I'm like, oh, that's good. All right. So what does it mean to be a servant? Like if being a servant is a major part of my Christian life, what does it mean to see myself as a servant? What does it mean to be a servant as a Christian? How does being a servant and understanding that I'm a servant, how does that play such an important role in my Christian life? So then I looked up the word servant. I looked up and then I just started doing it. But that was my focus for one day. What does it mean to be am I truly a servant? Do I see myself as truly serving other people, or do I see other people as an opportunity for them to serve me? Do I truly serve God, or do I see God as someone who's supposed to serve me? And so I just started meditating and thinking about it throughout the day. So I'm like, I think this is important. We've got to help Christians become focused so that they can have a little bit of depth in their thinking instead of being bounced all over the place. So I'm like, well, what could I do? What could I do? So I'm like, I know what I could do. I could turn this concept of today's focus into a podcast series. I'm like, that sounds fun. I'm like, but wait. Instead of me coming up with all the ideas, let me offer and open it up to all of my listeners to help me build this podcast series from the ground up. So here's the initial idea. The initial idea is to turn on the microphone, hopefully 7 days a week, and give everyone, hey, welcome everyone. It is Monday, October the 17th, 2022. Here is your today's focus, or here's what, I guess we could call it that way, say it that way. I don't know if that's grammatically correct. Here is today's focus. Yeah, that would work. Here's today's focus. And then I give you something to focus on. Not necessarily giving you all the answers, not doing an entire study, but handing it to you. Now, that doesn't mean later in the day, other podcasts may not return to that focus where there would be more in-depth teaching, but just at least place it out there. Like, for example, if I did this today, today's focus, what does it mean to be a servant? How does the concept of being a servant really impact your Christian life? And then maybe I look up the Greek word for servant and at least give you that. Maybe I'll give you 2 or 3 scriptures to consider. But the goal is for each episode to be no longer than 15 minutes. So it would be 15-minute episodes. 15 minutes, no more. I'm going to really try to stay to that. Try to set a timer. 15 minutes, because I have a clock right here that gives me how long I've been live on the air. Like right now, I've been on the air for 14 minutes and 28 seconds. So this one obviously will be longer than 15 minutes because I'm trying to explain the concept. but I would turn on the microphone and then in 15 minutes give you today's focus, get you kind of started, and then hand it to you. And then you can focus on that throughout the day. You can email me about it. If you're on the Discord channel, you can talk about it there. Everyone in the and we would all be focused on one thing throughout the day. Now, it doesn't mean we won't listen to other things, but we keep returning to that idea so that when we finally get ready to go to bed, if you sleep, you can go like, okay, this is what I thought about today. And you have something tangible there that hopefully proved to be spiritually edifying and beneficial. Now, we've got to build it from the ground up. So here's what I need. First, do you think I would have to look to make sure there's no other podcast out there called Today's Focus, but I would like to call it Today's Focus. If you've got a better name for it, let me know. So we need a name, Today's Focus. All right. Number 2, we need artwork. Now, if we go Today's Focus, what do you envision the artwork looking like? Like, give me your ideas for the artwork, right? You don't have to create it because I've got someone who will, but give me your ideas. And of course, that person, they may go ahead and create something first. And typically everything they create first has been absolutely perfect. But Today's Focus, all right? Okay, so we need a title. I'm going with Today's Focus. If you got something better, let me know. We need artwork. What would you make the artwork look like? Today's Focus. What would it look like? I've got kind of an idea. Like when you go to the eye doctor and you kind of look through that little thing, like a picture of like that little device you look through, and then as it focuses in, it says Today's Focus. Right? Is that too on the nose? I think that there's an idea there. All right, Today's Focus. Okay. We need kind of a description. If you were to write out a description for the podcast, what would you write out? Helping you focus each day. Like, I don't know. Just how would you write out like the description? All right. So we need a title. If you don't think Today's Focus worked, or if we find out there's already a podcast out there called that, we don't want to get into a conflict. Okay. All right. All right, someone says they like that. They may not like the idea for the podcast, but they like the idea for the art. Okay, I'm joking, but they like that my idea for the art. Okay, good. I don't know if it can work. Maybe we can try to create it. So we need a name. We need artwork. We need kind of a descriptor. How would we describe it? How would we write it out? And here's a big one. We would need a new intro. Now, I can pay to have an intro made, right? That would be a voiceover. I'd pay someone voiceover. They create the music. They do so. They're pretty good at it. They created the intro that we have now, the intro we have now.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective, this is the Theology Central Podcast.
Now, it may not be the same person who gets the job, because basically what I do is just say, hey, I need an intro that says this. And then they send me a sample going, here's what I created. And there's people who do voiceovers, and they just hand the jobs out to whoever. So we could possibly create an intro. If we created an intro, what would you think it should say? If we do a voice intro, right? A voice intro, what do you think it should say? Now, remember, it costs per word, okay? That's why our intro is so short, because it costs per word, okay? Like every word. And so the more words, next thing you know, it's $300. So I can't pay $300 for it. But do we do a voiceover intro, or do we just do a music intro? And then I come in saying, welcome everyone to your Today's Focus and I got no problem doing that, but we need music. Now, here's what I want you to do. Oh, you get the opportunity to do this, and I think you're going to, hopefully you find it to be fun. I want you to go to the following website, POND, the number 5, pond5.com. Pond5.com. That's POND5.com. And start looking for music files that you think would work. Now we got to try to find them that are short, right? Or they have a clear cutoff point where I can just edit out the rest of it. But we like short files. We like them to be, probably no more than 15 seconds. I don't know if they even have any available on pond5.com. But the reason I like pond5.com is you purchase the file and you get the copyrights, and you're not in violation of anybody's copyright or anything. So all the music there we can use. We used Pond 5 for the epic intro music we used for our 30 life principles that we looked at from that book by Charles Stanley. That epic music came from pond5.com. So you can go and look and see if you find, it would be interesting to see what files people go, no, this one, no, this one, no, this one. But remember, the key is today's focus. Like, on some ways, I'm thinking like, kind of like, almost like a kind of like a news thing, but that may give too much of a news concept. But it's like, like kind of getting your attention, or maybe something more classical influenced. But that would be very NPR-like. And I don't know if my voice does the NPR thing. Welcome to your today's focus. Like, I don't know if I have the NPR voice. I'm more like, welcome everyone to today. And they're like, calm down. I don't know. So what kind of music do you think? So we need a title. We need art. We need a description. And we need music. And we need to know if you think it's even a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Because I don't know about you. Here, I can't speak for you, but here's how it is in my life. And I do this with so many things. I get so frustrated. You may not be able to even relate to this. But I'll put on headphones and say, everyone knows I love music. I'm not here to get into the never-ending debate with Christians about music, but I love music. If I get to the end of the day and I'm like, okay, I listen to music, but no, I got to have something tangible. Okay, I listened to that album 5 times and I really analyzed it. Or I listened to that playlist. Like, I need something that I can say, I listened to that radio program. Like, I got to have, if I just listen to a bunch of songs, I gotta feel like that there's one tangible thing that I can take away with me that I know because if I get to the end of the day and it's, look, I bounced around here. No, I need to know that when I get to the end of the day, I did not waste that day, because I view, and I know, like, it's almost an obsessive compulsion. I view every second as precious. And if I feel like I lost seconds at the end of the day, I have almost like a panic attack. It's like, no. I can't waste a day. So I hate when I get to the end of the day. I'm like, okay, spiritually, what did I focus on today? What did I really think about today? What did I really met? Oh, man. Well, I listened to a bunch of things. Don't really remember what that was about. Then I get mad at myself. So maybe this series is not what anybody would want. I think everyone needs it. But am I overstepping my perception of what you need? You're like, you may need it. I'm good to go. I don't know. Do you get to the end of the day and don't realize, like, what did you really do spiritually? What did you really accomplish? I think this could work. I think it could work. I really do. So I'm willing to try it if you're willing to help build it, right? So in this case, it's not I build it, they will come. I'm like, you will build it and I will be there. Okay. Does that work? Okay. No. But I think it could be fun, and maybe it will give people a little sense of like, oh, I helped create that. So do you like the name Today's Focus? Can we even use that? I hope we can, because that's what's right here in my journal. Today's Focus. I just love, every day I see that, I'm like, oh, I love that. Love that concept. Okay, artwork, a description. What would you write out for a description, right? And then music. What are we going to use for music? Spoken intro, we pay for, or we just buy the music one time and then I just come in. There you go. So I'm just looking at it. Like some of these files are way too long. They have to be able, there's got to be a way to Okay, that one's not, that's 1 second. You see, that's not even helpful. Okay, I don't even know what that was. Okay, yeah, those are useless. See, does that even play? Some of these I'm trying to get to play. They're not playing. That's okay. Yeah, don't know why they're not playing, but okay. All right, here we go. Does that work? Okay, yeah, so those are 1 second. Those are too short. Let's get here. 2 seconds is too long. All right. Let's go to the next page. See if I can find just an example of just one that would work. I don't know why they would have 1 second or 2 second. I know there's 3 seconds. That's too short. Okay. But yeah, so we can filter out to making them as short as possible. Just amazing how short some of these are. But you can just yeah. So some of these are really short. So we would have to go through it and find it. But that's why I need your help. Just trying to find you say, how long? 10 to 15 seconds is what I'm looking for, a musical intro, 10 to 15 seconds. And then I can come in right at the end of it, right? Welcome, everyone. Or, hey, today. Or, today's focus is, because it's only going to be 15 minutes long. So, yeah, we got to make the intro somewhat short. That's my idea. Another crazy idea that probably will then just overwhelm me with more. But that's why I'm going to keep it short. And I think it can work. So let me know your thoughts about any of this. newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. And if you want to help build a podcast from scratch, there you go. We need a name. All right. We need artwork. We need a description. And we need music. I've already kind of given you what the podcast is going to be about. And what we're going to do is if we make it a podcast series, it will be obviously it'll be a podcast series, a part of the Theology Central podcast, but I'm going to break it out and make it its own podcast and then place it on all the podcasting apps as a standalone podcast that is connected to Theology Central. So that people may go, 15-minute episodes, and then they will get them, hopefully then find the larger podcast, the Theology Central. So we may try that as well. Again, ideas. All right. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. Will this ever see the light of day? It may. Will it all fall and blow up? Possibly. But even if this idea never comes to pass, even if we never make it work, even if you reject the idea and think it's a waste of time, please note this. This isn't a waste of time. As a Christian, you are distracted, not only by the things in the world, but even in many cases by the things of God. What we need to do is find a way to focus so that it can be more spiritually edifying and that we can grow because of it. So if that's my perspective, you can let me know yours. Thanks for listening. Everyone have a great day. We'll be back on the air shortly with Amos chapter 8. All right. God bless.